speech about the future and the destiny that he's about to embark on. And the crowds of masses throughout the entire kingdom listened intently as they understood the bittersweet occasion. Well, it's not really a bittersweet occasion, but the point of the matter is, Apollo was going to be the reigning king in his absence. Much to everyone's mixed reactions to that shocking revelation. Well, if it's any consolation, we just hope Eios made the right call to let his brother get a chance to prove himself. You know, he tries to believe in the best of everyone, but you know, just one of those things, you know, we just have to let time itself tell what really happens. We just hope that this doesn't lead to any disastrous conclusions, but who's to say?
That was quite the send-off speech you gave to the people, Father. It was spectacular and truly worthy of remembrance.
However, why did you decide to bring me here of all places? I've never seen anything like this before.
It's quite the unsettling place, but don't worry. I'm just bringing you here to meet my party members before we go our separate ways. This is supposed to be our discreet rendezvous point. The others should be arriving here shortly.
What do we have here? Your Majesty, who is this lovely stud you brought here with you?
My goodness, you certainly know how to flatter. My name is Eios. I'm one of his sons. You must be Titania, the legendary queen of fairies. That's certainly an amazing title.
I must say, sire, I really like your son, Eios. Why, I almost wish I could stay here just a bit longer. Talk about unfair.
Now, Titania, don't be getting any wild ideas. We have to stay on track. The very world is at stake here.
Hey, I'm just letting it be known as all. Which reminds me, Eios. I've prepared a lovely parting gift for you just before I left home. Would you like to receive it now?
Sure, I don't see why not.
Titania hands Eios a nameless, blue book.
It has a very nice fairy design on the front cover. But, what's the title?
That's the point, silly. I call it the Untitled Ambition. Whatever you need it to do, it can do it for you. Just simply call its name and command it to do whatever you need at that moment.
So, it's like an Arabian genie. Interesting.
Yes, but be warned. You only get one wish, not three.
Whoa, I definitely felt the pressure in your words just now.
Relax. You're a bright, young man. I'm sure you're more than capable of making the right choice.
Well, if you believe in me that much.
Well, it seems as if Titania found herself a younger man. Good for you.
No way, it's the legendary, dancing swordsman Gordon.
In the flesh. It's nice to meet you too.
Okay, so this just got awkward for her. Why does it feel like I'm just watching something out of an old-fashioned rom-com or something? Where, you know, when somebody's about to confess their feelings and whatnot in front of the person they like, it's really interesting. That never gets old. Yep, and neither does Titania's affection for the Priest King. amazing.
It's been a while, Your Highness. I must say it's not every day you have a divine encounter preparing to take us up to ascend. Be honest, what are your thoughts on all of this?
Honestly, it's still a lot to process. But, it's our duties as heroes to comply for the sake of the world.
Ever the hero, I see. Always with the motivational speeches. I see some things never change.
Greetings, friends. It's been a while, hasn't it?
Yes, George, it's you. How have you been, old buddy, old pal?
Draco Mountains was long and daunting. Wasn't sure if I was going to make it here, let alone on time.
Well, you didn't miss much. Other than the fact that Titania found herself some more eye candy is all.
Yes, Titania. Some things just never change, I see.
I agree. Some things never change. You two are always throwing jabs at me. I swear, you both are the absolute worst.
Please, don't be upset, old friend. I always love seeing you express yourself. You always were the spark of our party. Besides, I never meant to make you feel bad in any way. I'm sorry for all those times I came off that way.
Really? Thanks. I guess looking back, you always were the mediator between me and Gordon. So, I guess I believe you. By the way, this eye candy you're both referring to is named Eios, the son of the priest king himself.
It's a pleasure to meet you, George the Berserker. You are clearly the muscle of the legendary heroes.
Muscle? No. If you ask me, I prefer not to fight. I do what I can to avoid conflict. But I do appreciate you for thinking so highly of me. I must say, Your Highness, you'd raised a mother child here. Are you sure he's not king?
No, sir. I assure you that I'm just a humble researcher and nothing more.
I must say, this certainly reminds me of the good, old days.
Then, suddenly,
This looks like everyone. Are you all finally prepared?
Prepared. We're still missing someone. Have you forgotten about Ehud Ben Jarrah?
No. Not even in the slightest. He's set to fulfill a different role, I'm afraid. So, he won't be joining us.
I see. Well, in that case, we're good to go.
And so, without a second too soon, the four heroes were caught up in the sky, with Lady Alpice taken to ascend as Prince Eios saw the spectacular phenomenon before his very eyes for himself. It was hard to process, but this is what started the legend, the nameless blue book that everyone's been trying to get their hands on, the Untitled Ambition. It was said to hold all kinds of superb, spectacular power that only the chosen one was able to wield. It was like an ancient relic, similar to the legend of King Arthur and Excalibur's holy power. I mean, that was like beyond incredible, and for that to be handed to him like that is like, that's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. But for some reason, he didn't seem too ecstatic about it. Maybe Nicodemus knows something about it that he doesn't. We'll see.
Whoa, Miss Green, science fiction has got nothing on this. These people were quite literally teleported into the heavenly realms. I honestly wouldn't even know how to explain such a phenomenon to someone else, if I saw it.
Yep, you got me there. I wouldn't know how to explain that myself, either.
Also, I believe I've just uncovered a profound revelation. Did you notice that majority of the identified members of the Mubarak resemble the ancient heroes?
Whoa. That is mind-blowing.
Meanwhile, that John Doe guy was the closest thing the Mubarak had to resemble an actual crusader working in their midst. Interesting.
Interesting, indeed. So, does this imply that the Mubarak was doing everything they could do to duplicate the original heroes?
No, I'd prefer the term imitate instead of duplicate. After all, faulty imitations are no match for the original. Hence the reason for the creation of so many pseudo in their ranks. They only exist as cannon fodder and meat shields in case of invasion. Which almost in a way makes me pity those poor creatures who lack any form of true identity. Only existing to follow orders. It's quite the tragic existence.
Yes, it is.
Alright. So after the 4 heroes ascended with a peace into the skies above, Eios returned home for a final time before heading out for the world at large. This is how things transpired.
Ah, yes. Welcome back, Sir Eios. I assume that if you're here, then both your father and the other heroes have already ascended, correct?
That was so crazy to see such power displayed before my very eyes. How could anyone remain calm after witnessing something so spectacular?
I agree. That's divine power in its purest form. You should feel honored to see such a monumental event in person. By the way, I see you with a new book in your possession. Is it a gift from a friend?
Honestly, I'm not so sure. The Queen of Fairies, Titania herself gifted me this before she ascended. She called it the Untitled Ambition or something along those lines.
That's incredible. Lady Titania actually gifted you a signature weapon.
I'm sorry, did you say, signature weapon?
So Eios, what you have in your possession is something akin to King Arthur handed Excalibur to you just for the sake of doing it.
Really? I just thought it was just a nice, blue book with a nice fairy design on the front cover.
Well, it's not. Although the book looks unassuming at first glance, it's a blessed tool designed to slay the creatures of darkness. You need to prevent that book from getting into the wrong hands at all costs. If you only knew the power you now held in your hands, you wouldn't be so cavalier about this whole situation.
Then, why don't you hold on to it? Ultimate power isn't my goal. Only research and exploring this vast world.
So Eios.
It's fine, Nicodemus. If anyone can keep that book safe and hidden, I know it's you. So, what's Apollo doing right now?
Having a wild orgy taking place in the palace. He's having quite the time of his life. I can already see that there's going to be quite the hassle training that man-child to rule responsibly. I honestly had to escape here to get any semblance of peace and quiet.
Gross.
But, never mind that. What are you going to be doing now, Sir Eios? I highly doubt you're planning to stay around for the madness ensuing in this place.
No, I'm not. I'm actually here just to gather a few things, then set out in the morning to start my worldwide journey for research. I know it sounds crazy, but my heart is set out for this experience. Please, try to understand.
I understand, Your Highness. Then by all means, do what you feel is best. You have my full, unyielding support.
Thank you, Nicodemus. I'll return to you an innovative genius, one day. You'll see.
And so, Eios' worldwide journey began.
And so Prince Eios' voyage into the wild blue yonder began. Over the next few years, the young man continued to travel on horseback to find and discover new worlds of possibility, which led him all over the place to different countries, to different lands, and different cities and towns, meeting all sorts of people. However, there was one place in particular where everyone was rather skeptical to heading. It was the land known as Draconiasia. It was a land that can only be so far traveled by sea. And Prince Eios was destined to get there. And how he got there, we're going to see right now.
Ahoy there, traveler. Welcome to the Newport docks. I take it you're quite new to these parts, correct?
Why, yes I am. Thank you. This is quite the lovely ship you have. How much is it to go traveling across seas on it?
Well, it depends. If you're just traveling to any of the neighboring islands around these parts, that'll be around 3 coppers. If you're trying to make a voyage to a different country, that'll be around 5 to 10 silvers.
Well, this may be an odd destination, but my goal is to head to the land called Draconiasia.
I'm sorry, sir. But why on earth would you want to go there? That's far beyond the country boundaries.
I'm a global researcher. My goal is to travel the entire world to acquire the knowledge needed in order to be added to our yearly encyclopedia.
That's a very noble cause, sir. However, there are some things that you're better off not knowing or exploring into. Draconiasia is one of those places. Ever since the peace treaty years back, there's been pin-drop silence on the current status of the non-human nations. No contact whatsoever.
Which is all the more reason I need to get over there as soon as possible. I haven't told anyone else, but I was one of the few people who were with the priest king when he officially signed the treaty. My goal is to simply do a thorough census of the current status in those lands.
Well, I don't know. The whole voyage going there just seems a bit risky is all.
Believe me, I completely understand the risks involved with this process, which is why I would never ask such a request without any reasonable compensation. Tell me, how does 10 gold pieces sound for your cooperation?
Well, when put it that way, I believe we might just have a voyage available for Draconiasia. Just give me 3 days to get things ready, and we'll be good to go.
Yes, that's greatly appreciated. Thank you, sir. It's Keith and likewise.
And so time seemed to fly by as the pair waited and prepared to finally set sail off into the mysterious land of Draconiasia. The land supposedly ruled by the non-human tribes. This ought to be interesting.
I must say, Keith, this is quite the exquisite way to travel. You must certainly get a lot of clients for traveling trips, don't you?
Believe me, summer is the busiest time of the year for people to travel across seas. It's stressful at times, but it pays exceptionally well. Looking back, that's mostly how our families received income. Thanks to the amount of people willing to travel, the shipping industry has become a very lucrative business in these parts.
I'll say, with a ship like this, I'd go traveling all over the world. The layout makes me feel like going on a worldwide voyage.
You know, that wasn't the first time I heard someone say that. Multiple clients had the idea of going on a worldwide trip when sailing on this ship. Who knows? I might just consider doing that myself. Well, that's quite the voyage if I do say so myself. If Eios was going to travel across seas, he was going to be doing it in style.
That's quite an interesting way to travel, Mr. Hernandez. I know that voyage didn't take a day. As nice as that ship was, it wasn't a cruise. Just imagine being out there at sea for weeks or even months.
Which is exactly they needed to overstock on both food and supplies for their voyage. What makes the voyage even more challenging is the fact that people during those times didn't have a GPS either. They relied on the winds, currents, and their compasses to guide the way.
Yeah, pirate ship voyages aren't for me.
Don't worry. The voyage wasn't nearly as long as you think it was. It says here that something both cosmic and completely otherworldly took place while traveling at sea.
Something both cosmic and otherworldly?
I must say, that was quite the predicament getting your crew out of that sticky situation with pirates. I'm quite curious, how did your crew manage to evade capture?
It was divine intervention that a foggy sea was nearby, so that how we lost them. That was quite the risky move, in hindsight. We almost got lost trying to lose the pirates. Which is why ever since that encounter, we always prepared in case of emergency.
My goodness, is a storm brewing in our midst?
That's strange. It was supposed to be clear this entire voyage. I'll go see outside. My word. It's definitely storming out here. Wait! What's that opening up ahead?
I don't believe it. I mean, can anyone believe this? It was a massive sea storm that has completely engulfed the ship while they were sailing in. I don't know how anybody could ever saw this coming. But even in the midst of the waves crashing and sending the ship shaking and rumbling, what seemed to be like a massive wormhole, like, engulfs the entire ship and I suppose probably the people there too, and it whisked them away. Of course they were unconscious, and now they seem to be in a place, a wooded land, far from human civilization. I wonder where they could be at. It's not like we never heard any seafaring tales like this. It's like the most cliche thing that we ever hear about. Observe.
What happened? There was this massive typhoon earlier. The ship was submerged and then everything went black.
Well, I see you've finally regained consciousness. I was wondering if you were going to awake.
My goodness, it's you. You're one of the elven people. If that's true, then have we finally arrived to Draconesia?
My, aren't you ever the chatterbox? Only a few moments awake, and you're already asking questions. My name is Serafina, and yes, this is indeed Draconesia. However, I'm not a member of the elven tribes. I'm the first princess of the Draconian Empire. It's a pleasure to meet you, weary traveler.
Wait, the first princess of the Draconian Empire?
The one and only. I'm surprised you haven't heard of me. However, judging from your attire and your regal appearance, you don't seem to resemble any of the other neighboring tribes. Where are you from?
Well, I'm the second prince of the Nation of Light, Prince Eios. However, under my brother's rulership, the country has been renamed to Eldora. I'm here as a traveler for knowledge. From the stories I've heard, this is the most mysterious place to travelers. It's remote and cut off from the human nations. That's why I wanted to learn as much about this place as I possibly could.
Wait, you're one of those humans my father kept warning me about.
I'm sorry, but am I missing something here?
Oh, no. It's nothing. It's just that my father has always described humans as these cold, savage barbarians that know nothing but war and bloodshed. You, however, look even more friendlier than even some of the tribesmen here. Which is why I can't help but laugh at the irony.
Well, I guess I can't help but laugh either. By the way, I came here with a chaperone named Keith. Have any of you seen him?
Ah, yes. The blonde human. Yes, my attendants took him to one of our nearby villages for recovery. We'll head there first thing in the morning, but tonight we rest.
I understand. So before I forget, thank you Lady Seraphina for personally tending to me while I was asleep. You're truly a kind princess.
It's no trouble at all. I'm just curious about humans. Perhaps they're not as bad as Father made them out to be.
This marked the beginning of a forbidden unity.
Yeah, I can only imagine what'd be going through my head if I was going through a dangerous sea storm, and then the next thing I wake up, I see this beautiful young, what seemed to be an elven maiden tending to me until I awakened. Now we head on over to the elven villages and see what happens.
Well, I see that you've rested up. You were out for about a day and a half. That must have been quite the sea storm you encountered.
Yes, it was. However, when I first saw you, I thought for sure I died and gone to heaven. I've never seen such a foreign beauty as yourself before. You have my utmost gratitude for saving me back there.
Stop. It was nothing. I bet you say that to every pretty face you come across. You've certainly been rehearsing your lines.
Well, you certainly can't blame a guy for trying.
Well, I apologize if I'm interrupting something. But, I see you're doing quite well, Keith. Glad to see you're doing great.
Prince Eios, it's you. What a relief. That storm did a number on our ship. I wondered what happened to you.
I'm fine. Thanks for asking. My story is about the same as yours. Unconscious for a while, then waking up to a beautiful woman tending to you. That pretty sums it up.
I see. So, the tan one with the brownish, red hair tended to you. Interesting. I wonder what they're talking about.
Thanks to tending to our new guest, while I was gone. I hope he wasn't a handful, Miss Leda.
Well, not really. He was pretty much asleep the whole time. So, it was no trouble at all. By the way, I know of that young man you brought with you. He's the son of an old friend of mine.
I'm sorry. You know of my father.
Let's just say that we have a little history and that he helped with a little issue that I had been dealing with.
That dreadful noise, where did it come from?
It's my little brother. After all this hoopla, we completely forgot that it was time to feed him.
Wait! Did you say, little brother?
Hold on, we did hear that right, didn't we? Did Seraphina just call this thing her little brother? And this dragon is getting all cozied up to Leda like that? This is... Okay, I really don't understand what's going on right now. But I'm pretty sure they'll explain it to me in the next one.
Within the week prior to the priest king's ascension, this happened.
I don't exactly know why, but I have a lingering suspicion to check back in this location one final time before I leave. From the looks of things, Lilith's essence is still buried deep within the earth behind a layer of extremely hard rock. So, she shouldn't be going anywhere anytime soon.
Oh no. You've spotted me.
I'm sorry, miss. What are you doing here? You shouldn't be out here this late at night. Wait, I can sense that dark aura. Your vibe is just like Lilith's. Who are you? Have you come to compromise her ceiling?
Please. Let me explain. I need your help, Great Priest King.
My help? Now, I'm rather curious.
Please, I need you to relieve me of Lilith's control. I've been fighting her influence this whole time in transit, but it's no use. Her darkness is too great.
Okay. What's your association with Lilith? Are you a relative of hers or something?
Even closer. I'm Lilith herself, albeit her discarded fragment. I'm a discarded manifestation of Lilith's longing to be with Adam. I'm the part of her that often wonders what could have been, if I'd simply just obeyed.
Wow, I can't believe it. Lilith secretly yearned to be with Adam. That's beyond contrary to popular belief.
Please, I'm starting to lose control.
Whoa. Alright, give me a second.
I don't believe it. It's as if Lilith's control has completely left my body. How did you do this?
It's quite simple. I just gave you a gift to cancel her control over. That rosario you wear as a necklace now completely negates her control with the power of light. I couldn't fill you with light without destroying you, so this was the next best option.
Thank you, Your Highness. You're truly a just king. No one has ever been this kind to me before. I've been fighting Lilith's controlling abuse since the day I was fragmented from her essence. That creature never once saw me as her child, just a manifestation of her inner weaknesses. You can imagine someone trying to program you with that kind of mindset.
I understand, sweet child. That's why I didn't hesitate to help you. You deserve to be happy and live life to the fullest. I'm going to be leaving soon, so I can't guarantee what will happen to you if you stay with humans. You should relocate to Draconesia. Their non-human tribes are far more accepting of you.
I understand, great king. I'll never forget you and what you've done for me.
And so, Lita remained in Draconesia ever since.
And so, that explains the hidden story of how Leda finally received her independence from Lilith's control. It was all thanks to the Priest King's mercy. He didn't have to, but he just wanted to help her out is all. And Leda has been eternally grateful ever since.
That's incredible. My father actually did all of that for you. Amazing. Simply amazing. How are the tribes of Draconesia treating you these days? Are they perhaps giving you any trouble?
Well, I admire your enthusiasm. But, don't worry. Ever since your father helped me, I used the newfound powers of this rosario to heal the tribesmen here. Afterwards, I was viewed as a high-ranking matriarch among the tribes here. So, it's all good.
So, you have to keep that rosario on at all times in order to keep your independence.
It's no trouble at all. I don't mind wearing it all the time. In fact, sometimes I forget it's even there. Which reminds me. I've noticed you have a very strong presence of light residing from within you. I almost thought you were the Priest King himself for a moment. What's that about?
Well, my father bestowed his anointing on me, so the same power that he used to help you I now possess.
Wow. Then, you're truly a very blessed and gifted individual. I almost want to... never mind. It's nothing.
Hey, no need to be secretive. You can tell me.
Can I show you instead?
Ah, show me what exactly? Whoa, that's what you meant. After that exchange, it's almost impossible for me to believe that you're a fragmented essence of Lilith. Inconceivable.
If only other humans shared your outlook. They take one look at my monochrome appearance and automatically assume the worst. This is exactly the reason why your father advised me to relocate here. No matter what obstacles I'd face in Draconesia, it'll be far better than dealing with the humans in other places.
That's quite the sad and unfortunately true statement. If only there were a way to just simply destroy the biases that plague us. This is exactly why I'm so determined about my research on the world at large. I want to learn as much from you and Draconesia as much as possible. Will you aid me in my research?
Of course. We'll show the world, one day at a time.
Thank you, Mistress Leader. You're truly the idea woman.
Whoa, Miss Green, I can't believe what I just read. I never would have imagined that Lilith longed to be with Adam after their separation. Not only that, her fragmented essence in the form of Lita is amazing. She's almost perfect.
This certainly paints the Eden story in a completely different way. I can almost see why Lilith despised her daughter, Lita, so much. Her fragment was the living embodiment of everything Lilith ever secretly yearned to become. If I had to honestly look at my secret regrets and yearnings given a physical form, I wouldn't know how to handle it without feeling some sort of way.
Still, it requires some level of emotional intelligence to not treat or speak ill of your child that way. I'm completely confused as to how someone so lovely was birthed by someone so vile.
It's envy, Mr. Hernandez, plain and simple. You don't necessarily have to say no or do anything for a person to have vile feelings towards you. This applies to family as well. Sorry to say, but that's the world we live in. The mere fact that you possess a certain quality is enough for someone to hate you.
I don't know, Miss Green. I just couldn't see myself saying or doing that to my child. My pride and joy, the little apple of my eye. Inconceivable.
Of course, you wouldn't. You're a good guy, a detective that fights for justice and protects those who can't protect themselves. But, not everyone out here is fighting for good. I know it's upsetting. But whenever you hear stories like this, use them as motivation to continue fighting for what's right.
Thank you, Miss Green. I definitely needed that. My apologies for getting sidetracked. I need to continue reading.
It's no trouble at all.
It says here that after a few days had passed, both Eios and Clan settled down in the Draconesian village. They were now wearing tribal attire until this happened. Greetings, young prince. How's your research coming along? You've been spending a lot of time with Lita recently. I do hope her company isn't distracting you.
Stop it, Keith. She's really helping me with my research and I appreciate her company. By the way, you were doubting at first. Do you think Draconesia is a great place to travel to now?
Well, yes. I was doubtful at first, because this was a land very few humans have traveled to. However, after spending a few days here, it's like the ideal vacation spot. It's a peaceful place even with the non-human tribes, and Lilith's daughter here of all places. I truly like it here.
My goodness, is Seraphina's brother hungry again?
No, it's much worse. It's my father. He's back from his voyage.
Whoa, this can't be good.
Uh-oh, Papa's coming home. I wonder what kind of excuse will Seraphina have to bring humans into the tribe. This ought to be good.
Father, it's you. You're back much earlier than expected. Did something happen to interrupt our tribe's crusade?
Yes, we've been running into a few difficulties with the humans of the Northern Heights borders. The cold weather is fierce in those parts. By the way, I've been smelling some unfamiliar scents around here. There's a very powerful scent in particular. Do you perhaps know anything about it, Seraphina?
Well, it's just that.
Greetings, Your Highness. I do believe we've met before. It was back during the peace treaty, a few years ago. I'm sure you remember.
Of course I do. We Draconian never forget faces or scents. Which reminds me, why do you smell exactly like the Priest King himself?
I'm not so sure about the scent, but my father did pass his power and anointing unto me before he departed.
I see. So the king is gone. That's quite unfortunate. He was one of the few humans who genuinely gained our trust. This is saddening news.
No, it's quite alright. We're here for research purposes only. Our visit here is to add more knowledge into our nationwide records to educate the world at large. We harbor no malicious intent whatsoever.
I see. Seraphina, can I speak to both you and Leda in private?
Yes, Father.
Later that night, this happened.
Just what were you thinking, Seraphina? Why would you bring these dangerous humans into our lands? These humans destroy everything they touch. Wherever they go, calamity is sure to follow. Have you not been paying attention to any of the stories I've told you about pertaining to these creatures?
Father, please. You have every reason to keep your suspicions, but I don't think it's that cut and dry. Both Keith and Sir Eios are good people. They've been nothing but pure and genuine individuals since we've met them.
She's right, Your Highness. I even knew that young man's father. They're both kind, genuine people. Please, give them a chance to prove themselves to be different from the others.
Prove themselves? Very well. Then those two can help us in our little predicament with the Northern Heights tribes. You can even serve as their overseer. How does that sound, Mistress Leda?
Yes, I'll take full responsibility for those two, my king.
Back at the campfire site, this happened.
So, what happened? Did you manage to mull everything over with the king?
In a way. However, the two of you are going to have to travel with me on a little field trip.
A field trip? Where?
It's pretty far off, but it's the Northern Heights.
Well, ask and receive. Sir Eios and Keith wanted to see the world, and they most certainly got to. Well, looks like now they're going to be traveling a little bit further away from civilization than they originally thought. However, before they leave, Leda had to say a few parting goodbye words to her little buddy, or should I say big buddy, Khalid, Seraphina's younger brother. Those two seem very close. That's like a beautiful little bond they have. Oh, that's something else, I must say.